Hello friends and fiends, it's me again and welcome back to another video. Today this video is going to be pretty long, so go ahead and put it on as background noise for drawing, crocheting, painting, or gaming. I just want to address a few things before we get started. Firstly, let's stop with the blind mob mentality and leave room for nuance without instantly jumping to, "Oh my god, you're defending the pedophile?" Even though, yes, Cinny is a piece of shit in every aspect, including talking to children sexually, we all know how the internet can get. I just want to clarify that Cinny is not a pedophile by definition. She is not attracted to women, so she wouldn't have been attracted to Enno, the underage AFAB. She is a groomer, however, and to me, when someone does super sexual, like hypersexual things with or around a minor or toward a minor, I just call them a pedophile because that's creepy. But by definition, she isn't. Second thing is, and this might sound contradictory, I might be a little biased. I have never liked Just a Robot. The first time that I've seen him, like, really sat down to watch one of his videos was when he made his video on Speechy, and he was really, in my personal opinion, stupid. Speechy says a lot of problematic things. She used to, at least. I don't know how she's doing now with her new name. But he didn't address any of that, and instead decided to basically dog on her, make fun of her because she's not, quote-unquote, an actual animation artist. Her hands, the way she draw hands, was like it, quote-unquote, got ran over by a bus. So yeah, he was basically dogpiling the way he was hoping the internet wouldn't do to him for defending Cinny. And another thing I wanted to mention was, let's worry more about the victim and the victims than the perpetrator. One of the biggest mistakes, other than his racism and transphobia, that Just a Robot made was that he was saying, yes, she did talk to a minor sexually, but we should leave room for her to grow away from minors. Okay, why are you more worried about Cinny than the minors? Why are you more worried about making sure Cinny grows away from minors and possibly from the internet and not making sure those minors can recover? I just feel like, in that sense, Just a Robot doesn't actually believe that they're victims. And I know that's crazy. But that's kind of what that's giving. And sorry if the beginning part that I said was a little bit of a jump scare. I've seen a few people trying to be like really mature about the situation and say we should have like nuance and not just like be the mob mentality, or else you're just content farming. Like, you're not really trying to spread awareness, you're not trying to get help for the victims, you are just looking for attention. And not gonna lie, as a small creator, they low-key hit the mark. But it's not just soulless. I hope my stuff isn't just soulless trying to get the next views. But I wanted to, I don't know, in a way kind of help that, because Cinny, the search term Cinny and synnibear03, they are guaranteeing you like at least 1,000 views. So if I know that's how much I'm going to get, at least let me redirect your attention to the document, because I'ma just say, when I was just a viewer and I wasn't really planning on making a video, I wasn't gonna read that. And that sounds really insensitive. But I didn't have any obligation to read it because, well, I was just a viewer and I expected YouTubers to educate me on what was like happening with the victims instead of looking at it myself. So in this video, we're gonna make a few clarifications on the other video, and we're going to look at the document, and we're going to talk about the main key points that really pissed me off about the things that Cinny and Just a Robot said, and Kumo apparently, cause he exists, I guess. Who is he? He just came out of nowhere. I just want to give a thanks to Vapor Hours for pointing out that it wasn't just homophobia, that Cinny was calling her interactions with Jax gay, but it was actually also transphobia, because to imply that her being a woman and Jax being a man, to imply that it's somehow gay would mean that she doesn't fully see Jack as a man, and that is transphobic, so thank you for pointing that out. Another comment here is by Honeyed Heart. I believe all victims, but I didn't really want to speak that much on what Jack said about Cinny, because we don't know we don't exactly know how things went down to determine if it was sexual assault or not. By the sounds of it, it seemed like Cinny would do things and then ask afterwards, and then maybe Jack would be like, oh, it's fine, as in, I guess I forgive you, but then she would do it again and then ask afterwards again. But that's just what it sounds like. That's just speculation, so it's alleged, but it's not confirmed, basically. So take that with the fattest, saltiest grain of salt. But yeah, thank you to that commenter for pointing that out. Then there was Cinny's use of the R slur. Now, it is technically a slur she can reclaim as an autistic woman, but she not only said herself that she thinks nobody should be saying it, but it wasn't just that she was calling herself the R slur, she was calling herself the R slur to refer to herself as stupid. So to me, it still seems pretty ableist. There's also this commenter who opened up in my comment section. I really appreciate that they felt like okay enough to speak up about their personal experience, even if it has nothing to do with Cinny. If you are out there and you've had a personal experience with things that go down like this, where it was sexual assault and you feel violated, even if they eventually at some point got a yes out of you, even if your body language screamed no, I see you. I see you, and I hear you, and I believe you, even if you don't have evidence for it. I see you. I want you to know that it is not your fault, even if you didn't continue to say no. If you said no once, or even if you didn't say anything, even if you didn't resist, if it wasn't an enthusiastic yes, or you being assertive about it, then it was a no, and they shouldn't have taken advantage of your silence, and you are valid. Please do not blame yourself. Okay, now addressing Just a Robot. I heard he did racist things. I haven't looked it up, but to me, people who say, oh, you probably think I'm racist, huh? Instead of just doing the work to not be racist, that automatically makes you racist. If you're not, trying to not be racist, if you're not actively doing research to actively avoid being racist or insensitive to a specific race, then you are racist. Another thing I noticed him doing is referring to Jack as it repeatedly. Now, I don't know if Jack uses he, it pronouns, but the way he was saying it, the aggressiveness in it, like it, yeah, it literally sounded like he was calling him not even human. This is coming from someone who is okay with its pronouns and used to go by them. I feel a strong aggression coming from just a robot when he refers to Jack as it. But we are already 10 minutes in, so let's begin talking about the victims. I'm done talking about these losers that are just gonna delete their channel because they suck and they know they suck and they can't really get out of sucking. So let's shift the focus to the victims. I've seen a lot of people say that Jack was making it about him by saying a lot of I's and me's in his video. If Jack is a victim of synnies in any form, that means that he is also a victim. So I don't see how it's rude or insensitive to state their own experience with synny if they're also a victim. I don't see how that's insensitive to the victims. This footage crashes at some point, so I'm just gonna real quick switch over to looking at the document. Now, I'm not sure which victim this is, but I'll just read it out. I think it is respectful to read at least these first two paragraphs in full. So if you're not really interested, you can skip, but I feel like it would be disrespectful to just skip over it, basically. Introduction. Hello everyone. It has come to my attention that Cindy has been in some deep water recently. I do not know the full extent of everything happening because it has been hard to watch her response and reaction video to her comments regarding what I heard from her response video, but as previously stated, I am not well versed in everything that is happening between her and Jack, Bug, and anyone else. I would also like to come here and say that I'm sorry for the imagery coming up in the later paragraph. It does involve a lot of vulgar, gory, and sexually charged conversation between me and Cynthia. These messages were all sent by me before the age of 17, my current age as of October 2nd. I will not give out my birthday, but I will be turning 18 here in a few weeks, which makes me feel somewhat sick and nervous regarding gender and sexuality through all of this. I am transgender. I'm transgender man. When me and Cynthia knew each other, I was flipping between that and questioning if I was non-binary. She often drew me as female, used she, her pronouns when referring to me. In the few screenshots that I show, there will be a few discussions regarding Cynthia's sexuality and my gender coming into conversation. Finally, not an excuse, but something to know about my writing and behaviors and screenshots. I have autism and dyslexia. When talking to Cynthia, I had a hard time saying no. I tend to sound a bit pretentious in my writing style as tone is very hard to convey over text. I try to emphasize myself the best way I can, but it is difficult. Honestly, as someone who's autistic, ADHD, and dyslexic, I feel you. Starting apology, I do want to start off by saying, I am sorry, Cynthia, I did not treat you well. I was not completely open and honest with you. I knew what was going on was wrong, and I chose to stick by you and feed into this behavior. I was not completely honest with how I felt and what was going on mentally on my end. The things I told you and behavior I encouraged was a fault on not just your end, but mine too. You're a minor. What are you talking about? It is it is on her. Please don't blame yourself, like I said. And to Laurel, I am so sorry for the immense amount of guilt that you are holding regarding all of this. It isn't your fault for everything that has happened here. You introducing us could have never been predicted to lead me to where I am today. Finally, I am so sorry to those who know me and to those who are currently reading this. My mental illness and age do not excuse what I have said. There are a lot of depraved and unacceptable messages coming from me throughout all of this. I feel immense guilt, and that has lingered with me for the past 3 to 4 years. I should have said something much sooner, though it was always in the back of my mind that it was begging for attention, over with already, that Cynthia was going through enough. It hurts to write out such a terrible point in my life, but I was convinced that this is important, and I do want to be honest with you all. Without further ado, let's get started. After they said their personal thoughts and feelings on the situation, I will just be pointing out the important bits of the paragraphs, because there's a lot. Cynthia and I ended up growing a very tight bond. We would call and talk almost every day. We both knew a lot of deep and personal secrets about each other. Me and Cynthia both met and I was 14 and she was 17, and where we are now, I was either 14 or 15 and she was about to be turning 18. By what this looks like, Cynthia had a crush on Laurel, which is the person who made Boy, I'm pretty sure, and Cynthia asked this victim if they wanted her to sit on their face. Correct me if I'm misunderstanding something. This person says they felt special for being treated this way by someone they looked up to. Pause to read this whole section. They state that they were in the your boyfriend community, even though they were too young to be. Pause to read again. There were the main two comics, the one between Boy and Nightmare, as well as the one between her and Jack. She had many smaller panels though, many inappropriate one-pagers. I will not go in depth with these as they have been discussed and picked apart much more than I would be able to. Chapter 4, Icky Stuff. I want to start this chapter on a lighter note with saying how Cindy treated me. She would often make comments about things we would do together. Again, she often came up to me wanting kisses, hugs, cuddling, the average thing for our situation. But there were also comments of her asking me to peg her and vice versa. She has this thing involving sitting or being sat on as well. There are also a few instances where I get pulled into Cynthia's fantasies and mini stories she wrote to me. These stories would sometimes be sexual or very gory and graphic. Most mornings I would wake up to a new scenario on my phone if it wasn't her asking to roleplay with me. Pause to read. Nearer to when I was turning 16, halfway to 17, she started going into her personal life, talking about sex toys and asking me for advice. She sent images and told me how she would use them, but that she was confused. Pause to read. They basically go into depth on the server being overly sexual despite being in the rules not to be sexual, and they share screenshots from their group chat. Unfortunately, I am reading from my phone, so the images are pretty blurry. Chapter 6, Self-Report, and My Apology. I know the title is humorous, but it is really what happened. Cynthia, you knew what you were doing, and you were worried about it from the start. From the beginning, you were worried about our relationship and what would the internet think? Pause to read, and also happy birthday to this victim. There was one document I found and then it branched off into two, and this one I read was one of the two. I am not going to read all three. I sound like an asshole, but it's a lot. I did read them, but it's already going to take like a really long time to edit them in and then read them all out. I can, but I won't in this video. This video is sponsored by you. You took the time out of your day to support this channel, even if it was for this not drama, but dangerous stuff that's happening. But by doing so, even by just clicking the video, you've made my day. If you like this video, please remember to leave a like. If you have something to say, then say it. I want this to be a conversation. I don't want it to be just cut and dry. I want nuance. I want the conversation to be had. If you like my art, please consider subscribing to my channel here and following me on my socials. If you're still here, if you were doing something like drawing or playing a video game, whatever you made, It's beautiful, and I love it. And the progress you made in your game, that's so cool. I will say, I will probably never do a video like this again because I am not mature and responsible enough to address serious situations like this. From now on, I'll just be talking about video games and shows that I really like. So if you like that type of content that are video essays like that, make sure to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.